Governor Hunt needs more energy and passion. Governor Hunt, when he tells old stories about being governor, I think I was in the class of '74 when you were governor at Ragsdale High School, where I was today. It is such an honor to be introduced by Jim, and he's become a good friend along with Jim Martin, and I miss Jim Holzhauser a great deal also. Think about him often. In fact, one of the first meetings that I came to, and one of the first speeches I gave, was a year ago at this Emergent Issues Forum, after I was sworn in as the 74th governor of North Carolina on January the 5th. I was sworn at on January the 6th, but it's been an incredible privilege and honor being governor of this great state. Now, when I was sworn in as governor, at that point in time, we had the 5th highest unemployment rate in the country. At that point in time, we had a $500 million cost overrun on Medicaid. At that time, businesses in North Carolina owed the federal government $2.5 billion for unpaid loans to the federal government. And at that time, teachers in North Carolina had not been given a pay raise for 5 years, except for 1%. Now, I'm pleased to report some good news. North Carolina is no longer the 5th highest unemployment rate in the country at 9.4%. In fact, we're not even in the top 30 anymore. Our unemployment rate has now dropped to 6.9%, the largest drop in the nation in the past 3 months. Does that deserve an applause? Because we've made some tough decisions to make it happen. We're also paying down our debt on unemployment. Instead of increasing the debt of another $400 to $500 million, which would have put our debt to over $3 billion that we owed the federal government, our debt is now less than $2 billion, and we're going to pay it back 3 years in advance because of the tough decisions that we've made this year. We still have some incredible challenges in Medicaid. We do not know what the future costs of Medicaid are going to be during the next 3 to 4 months because of the incredible new change that's coming out of Washington, D.C., but we're working hard to try to control that cost and increase the quality of service with regard to Medicaid services that women, the elderly, children, and the disabled deserve in North Carolina, and that has to be one of our biggest challenges at this point in time. But the one problem we continue to have is teachers' pay is way too low in North Carolina. And we're making change to that starting today. Now, I want to let you know that today I had the honor of going back to Ragsdale High School in Jamestown, North Carolina, where I did graduate in 1974. Just coincidental, Governor, that I'm the 74th governor, and I also graduated in the class of '74. And I got to see some of my old teachers there, Mr. Rayburn and my old principal, T.G. Madison, and I was thinking of Roger Chance, my old history teacher, and Mrs. Molesky, my former English teacher, and the book she allowed me to read with Pearl Buck and Shakespeare. And I'll never forget these teachers because they did have a huge impact in my life. In fact, after graduating from Ragsdale High School in 1974, I went to Catawba College, and my goal was to get my teaching degree, and I accomplished that goal because I wanted to become a teacher right here in North Carolina. Now, I ended up going to Duke Power Company, where 7 of those years I was the training director for Duke Power Company. In fact, I spent many a days in the classroom doing adult learning. But I still have this passion for teaching. And I still have a passion to help our teachers because I think they're going to continue to help lead the way to get North Carolina out of this recession and continue to drop the unemployment rate in North Carolina and get all of North Carolina back to work. And we've got to have education help lead the way. Now, during this past year, we've had to make some tough decisions in some other areas. But what we've wanted to do is concentrate on education. I'm pleased to report that the first bill I signed as governor of this state was to have 2 pathways to success out of our high schools. One is understanding that we want to encourage a 4-year college degree for many of our students, but we also have understood that that is not the only successful career pathway out of high school. There are other successful career pathways, and that is including getting a vocational training degree and certification, because our economy right now must have those types of technical degrees to meet the labor market demands and the market demands, and that type of labor is desperately needed in North Carolina at this point in time. So there are several pathways to success now in North Carolina. But more than anything, we have to accomplish several goals. And let me talk about several of those goals. The first one is we must improve the teacher quality and the teacher compensation. The second goal is we need to have testing relief for our teachers, our students, and our families. There are too many tests right now for teachers in North Carolina. The third is we must continue to eliminate the digital divide and increase one-to-one access to technology. The fourth is we must break down the silos of education, and I'm going to talk about that in a few minutes. And the last, and maybe most important, is we have got to connect commerce more with education to make sure whatever we're teaching in our schools today will be needed in commerce both today and tomorrow. Now today at Ragsdale High School in Jamestown, my goal was to make an announcement to help understand that we have not made the needed investments into teachers during the past 5 to 6 years. Teachers have only received a 1.2% raise during the past 5 years. And with a new budget year and many reforms in place, a few hours ago I did announce a pay raise, a base pay raise for our teachers. Our intention is to build a strong foundation for the future. The cornerstone of this foundation must start from the bottom up. This will strengthen North Carolina's structure for recruiting and retaining the best teachers. Today, sadly, a starting teacher in North Carolina, and one who is taught now for 5 or 6 or 7 years, makes $30,800 a year. And that's not enough for teachers to raise their family or to even pay back many of the student loans that the new generation has had to incur during the last 15 to 20 years, which is a terrible burden on our students at this point in time. Well, I'm proud to announce that over the next 2 years, we will increase by nearly 14% the base pay for North Carolina teachers to $35,000 a year. In year one, base pay will go up to $2,200, followed by an additional $2,000 in year two. This will impact at least 42,000 North Carolina teachers in the first 10 years of their career. They will have substantially more money, still not enough money, but more money in their paychecks because of these two raises, over 14% pay raises. In other words, we will not have any teacher in North Carolina within 2 years making less than $35,000 a year. At $35,000, North Carolina will at least be competitive nationally and a leader in the Southeast, ahead of Tennessee, Georgia, and South Carolina. Now, funding for these proposed raises will come from available revenues because of the difficult decisions myself and the legislature have made this past year, in addition to the growing economy. These raises will not require a tax increase. Now, let me emphasize, this is only the first step in a larger, more comprehensive plan to fund excellence in the classroom by ensuring that an effective and well-paid teacher is in every classroom in North Carolina. As the revenue picture becomes clear, I want to emphasize this, as the revenue picture becomes clear in the next 2 to 3 months and we start seeing the impact of the growing economy and also the Medicaid rolls, our goal is to roll out additional proposals which will have a good pay impact on all teachers in North Carolina and all state employees in North Carolina. This is our goal. Now, I can tell you this, we will not simply dole out across the board increases and consider our job done. Instead, we are going to do something different. We are going to invest in teacher quality. We will incentivize leadership. We will incentivize teamwork. We will provide professional development choice for teachers that will allow them to remain in the classroom and still be highly paid. I come from an engineering environment at Duke Power Company for 29 years. And one thing I learned at Duke Power was for engineers, the only way to get promoted for an engineer, Chancellor, you'll understand this, the only way at that time, 20, 30 years ago, was for an engineer to get promoted was they had to move up into management. Well, frankly, some engineers didn't want to move up into management. They wanted to become engineers and continue to do engineering work. And they were best at engineering. So what many businesses have done during the past 20 years, Governor, is this. They've decided there should be two career paths for engineers. One is moving up through management ranks, but another one, just as important, moving up in engineering ranks. We firmly believe that philosophy should apply to teachers also. The only promotion for teachers should not be just moving up to become an assistant principal or a superintendent or any type of administrator, which are good leadership positions. But the fact of the matter is, we firmly believe we need to enact a long-term system where teachers can be promoted within the teaching profession, and where teachers can also be the highest paid individuals in every one of our schools throughout North Carolina, not just the administrators. This is our long-term strategy. We ought to have a promotional way of helping teachers within our schools. Now, under our plan, teachers will have the opportunity to hopefully become the highest paid personnel at their campuses. We are working hard to make every classroom in North Carolina a teaching destination, not just a layover. And that's one reason in our first announcement, and we plan to have more announcements in the coming months, our first announcement is concentrating on the base pay. Because right now it is during those first 5 to 10 years where we're having the greatest attrition, where teachers are having the greatest affordability issue, and where we're having the most difficult time recruiting at this point in time to be competing against even our neighbors in the Southeast. And that's why strategically we wanted to hit the base pay. In addition to that, by the way, I announced today raises for certain specific state employees whose base pay is entirely too low, including nurses, whose right now their pay is 30% lower than what hospitals are paying. State nurses are being paid 30% less than what hospitals are paying their nurses. And also our highway patrol officers got a substantial pay boost starting today, effective January the 1st, because their pay now for the State Highway Patrol is much lower than many of our city and county police officers throughout the state. Our goal is to first address the base pay issue for all state employees, including teachers. Now, in addition to pay raises for teachers, hopefully principals and superintendents in the future, they've also told us the amount of tests that have been piled on classroom teachers borders on the absolute ridiculous. The number of tests administered to students in grades 4 through 12 right now, 4 through 12 right now, is approaching 200 tests across our state. There is total confusion among principals, teachers, parents, and everyone involved. With this growing number of tests, we are in danger of turning teachers into proctors. Ladies and gentlemen, I was taught to be a teacher, and I wanted to use those skills, and I didn't want to teach based upon a test, because every student has different unique needs, and to teach to the same test is not the way to help students develop in the future. Now, we need to measure our results, but many of the tests we're giving right now are duplicating each other. They're not sure of the benchmark results, and frankly, some of the tests are downright confusing, not just to the students, but the teachers that are trying to administer those tests at this point in time. We are taking steps to immediately correct that. In fact, I recommended to June Atkinson, our state superintendent, and Bill Kobe, our chairman of the school board, to give more flexibility to all 100 counties in the administration of new tests that have been put on our schools throughout the 100 counties. You must be given this flexibility. We do not have all the answers in Raleigh here. The answers are at the teachers' levels and with the principals and with the superintendents, those closest to the students and the teachers. Because all 100 counties are so different, with different needs and different requirements and different challenges. Let's understand that flexibility and work with them. And that's beginning this week. Now, another issue that's very important. Thank you very much. The technology. Technology is going to revolutionize teaching. And I went to Ragsdale today and I watched a chemistry class taking their test on their iPhones, the entire class. It was absolutely amazing to me how much things have changed so dramatically in our schools. And right now, technology offers us the opportunity to bridge the traditional gap between rural and suburban and urban schools and the rich and the poor across the state, across the nation. It has the opportunity to revolutionize learning by delivering high-quality education at a fraction of the cost. Now, technology is not the only answer. In fact, we're still going to need teachers more than ever to understand the technology and facilitate that technology. But we also have to train the teachers to help with that technology. Now, Mr. Chancellor, something's changed dramatically even in university education with technology, and this is going to go all the way down to even pre-K teaching, and that is technology. When I heard last month that Georgia Tech is now beginning to offering a master's degree in computer science online for less than $5,000, when the same degree on campus is going to cost $45,000, that changes the competitive game for all of us. A student's going to have a choice to go online for $5,000 for a Georgia Tech master's degree or $45,000 on campus. Well, I know a lot of students who will pick the $5,000 degree. I want North Carolina to be ahead in technology. And again, I don't think technology is the only answer because I think the classroom experience and the campus experience is still important. But we've got to determine which types of courses are best suited for technology and facilitation and which types of courses can help exercise your mind and encourage debate and logical thinking in the classroom. And I think those schools at all levels of the university and K through 12 and community college system, those schools that move fastest, figuring out that gray area, are going to be those schools that are most competitive and successful in the future. Now, closer to home, right here in North Carolina, I just did a major event at a company called School Dude, a cloud operations software company which is about to hire 200 to 300 more people. They announced last week that it has begun to triple its operation in Cary, North Carolina. Cloud computing is on its way to provide major cost savings to schools and school districts. Now, in my day and even today, we've put all this emphasis on new capital structure, where a lot of money is being spent at this point in time on beautiful new buildings. In the future, more money hopefully can be spent first on teachers and also the technology where kids can learn from anywhere in this state, rural, urban, or whether you're rich or poor. And we need to make sure we do it right in that implementation. Now, during the next 5 years, there is going to be a tremendous transition for more digital learning. The good news is that North Carolina schools are wired and connected. 94% of our schools are fed by fiber thanks to our statewide efforts. But as we all know, the next frontier is wireless technology that fits into the hands of our students, our teachers, and their families. North Carolina's next challenge is to increase the infrastructure to support one-to-one technology in our classrooms. And today, approximately 1,800 of our 2,500 schools had inadequate, let me repeat that, 1,800 of our 2,500 schools had inadequate coverage to support one-to-one technology. We have to do better than that. So instead of just having, we're planning to roll out in the next month or two a 25-year transportation plan. We also need a 25-year communications plan for our state. In fact, we're going to have to move a lot quicker than that in order to keep up with our competition. I really believe this is going to close the gap for anyone can have the best of the best, not just in North Carolina, but the United States and the world. Now, we've only begun the journey. Last year, we started funding. I'm very pleased I put this in our budget, the digital revolution where it matters most, and that's with the teacher. Approximately $24 million was added to our budget this year to train teachers to use digital devices and digital content in the classroom. I believe it's teachers who are going to drive this change. It's a change, and we're going to all need to adapt to this change the best we can. But the rollout and the implementation is crucial that we do not roll this out poorly. We're learning some lessons already where we've instituted technology in certain areas, even Guilford County, where Mo Green is one of the great school superintendents in the state. And he said, you know, we made some mistakes about the technology. We didn't think about the small details of certain types of equipment burning up, or all the different attachments, the details, the complexity of the operations of technology. So before we buy something, we have to think of the whole operation systems and the execution as opposed to just the concept. Now, something I've talked to Governor Hunt about, and your great chancellor at NC State, is this. We also have to break down the silos of education. One thing I've realized when I was running for governor, both in 08 and 12, was this, is that we have lobbyists for pre-K, Governor Hunt being one of the strongest. He's been in my office 3 times already. We have lobbyists for K through 12. We have lobbyists for a community college system, and we have lobbyists for the university system. And one thing we've recognized is we all have to work as one system, not within 4 different silos. And even within those silos, we can't have NC State competing against Appalachian State, against East Carolina, against UNC Wilmington, or Elizabeth State University. We all have to have say, what's best for North Carolina and the students and employers of North Carolina? And the same thing applies to the community colleges and our high schools. We have to work as one seamless system and look for ways in which we can share resources, share technology, share teachers, save money so we can put more money into where it's most important, including our educators. We can no longer afford to work as 4 different systems in the state of North Carolina. Now, I'm very pleased that we've had a governor's teacher advisory committee, and many of them came to my announcement in Jamestown today. They're some of the most remarkable individuals I've ever met. In fact, probably half of them have been teachers of the year, from elementary school teachers, to math and science teachers, to English teachers, to all STEM teachers. And I gave them a directive today to continue to keep meeting, because they're going to be the ones who first gave me the advice that you have to deal with base pay for teachers first. Then they're going to continue to give me advice on how to apply more money for more teachers in the coming months, and also how do we deal with the testing issue in North Carolina. You are the experts in this area, not the politicians. We will be listening to the teachers. We will be listening to the principals. We will be listening to the superintendents. You're the ones with the answers. Now, tomorrow you're going to be hearing from a very, very good friend of mine, Governor Bill Haslam of Tennessee. In fact, he was mayor of Knoxville, Tennessee, when I was mayor of Charlotte for 14 years. And we became very good friends and shared notes as mayors, and we're now sharing notes as governors. He works tirelessly on education issues. He's in his 3rd or 4th year as governor at this point in time, and he has achieved some very impressive results in his very short tenure. In fact, Tennessee students gained national attention last fall when their 2013 National Assessment of Education Progress scores were the most improved in the nation. These assessments are in regard to the nation's report card. He has been a champion of many common sense education reforms, yet probably the biggest factor in achieving the success that Tennessee has enjoyed during the past several years is raising the expectations of what students can achieve regardless of their backgrounds. And I think that should be our goal right here in North Carolina. Raise the expectations. We have to raise the expectations. Not just because Tennessee is raising the expectations, it is because the rest of the world is raising the expectations. And if we're going to be competitive in the future, we have to have the best of the best. When I go out and recruit businesses along with our great Commerce Secretary, Sharon Decker, the first question employers are asking us is this: do you have qualified labor? And if the answer is no, we don't talk about anything else. And they're asking us about our high schools. They're asking us about our middle schools. They're asking about our community colleges and our universities. And it's a very, very important part of their decision on whether or not they're going to either invest in North Carolina or continue to expand in North Carolina. This is where education has to lead the way, but it must be connected to market conditions. Now, I'm very pleased with the announcement that we made today, and I know it's not enough. And I know we must seek more, and I know our goal is to help all the teachers of North Carolina and also to help all state employees and also to help the university system and our community college system. We have some major challenges. We're rebounding from this economy. I believe there is a Carolina comeback which will help everybody. But we must do this as a team. We must be strategic. We must set our priorities. And we must set high goals. I look forward to working with each of you to do just that, because North Carolina will lead the way, because we are the best, but we cannot take it for granted. We must do it through leadership and teamwork. Thank you, and God bless each one of you.